All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, May 14th. We got a big MLB slate, I believe 16 games like we always do. We're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that I like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment if you do want to fade me. All of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself, will be in the pinned comment of today's video. Yesterday went according to plan for the Guppies. This may be, I'm sure someone in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong. This may be one of the one of the worst sports betting days that we've had on YouTube in a few years. Like, I can't imagine anything worse than this, right? So, yeah, we got to own it. We got to take it on the chin here. Everything we touched turned to crap yesterday. So, yeah, I don't even know what to really say about that. But nonetheless, gives us an opportunity to bounce back, right? You can't bounce back if you didn't have a bad day the night before. So maybe that's the glass half full, but an absolutely terrible day there. And it doesn't get much better with the ride of the day. Two womp womps within the first minute of the video here. We had my man Parlay Prince with Zach Eflin over 5.5 Ks. That does not come through either. It was a plus money play, which a few of ours were plus money as well. But nonetheless, guys, if you don't know what the ride of the day is, it's a chance to be shouted out on my Twitter right here, as well as on the channel. All you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm picking one person's pick, jumping on board with you. And like I said, you get a shout out on the next video here, win or loss. If you win, we continue to ride with your pick. So ride of the day is up for grabs right now. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Maybe it'll bring us some good luck today. Let's jump into play game number one here. We got the Mets taking on the Phillies. Mets first five was one of our plays yesterday. Does not come through. We should have gone full game because they end up winning the game, I believe, in extra innings. But on the mound today for the Mets is going to be Jose Butto going up against Aaron Nola. Nola has a 3.67 ERA. Butto has a 3 flat ERA. Both their whips are pretty good, 1.2 and 1.15. The difference I see in this game and where the edge should come is with the Phillies bats. I believe they sat a decent amount of guys yesterday, so that kind of screws us. But hopefully we're getting some of these guys back in the lineup. Schwarber, Realmuto, that type of thing. So, when we made this bet earlier yesterday morning, I don't think that we knew, which I guess it's on me, or at least it wasn't. It was the expected lineup. Guys were still playing, right? But overall, I don't think that we knew that they were going B team yesterday. Should be the A squad today. So I like Phillies bats in this spot. Last 30 days against right-handed pitchers, first in average, first in WRC plus, first in on-base percentage, OPS, ISO, and slugging. So this screams good spot for Philly. The Mets are a little bit better at batting righties than they are lefties. Obviously, Nola's a righty, so we have that to be concerned with. But overall, I trust the Phillies to get back into the win column. Let's go Phillies first five in this spot. The best odds you can get for that right now, I could tell you really quick. First five money line for Phillies here over on DraftKings at -130. Not the worst price out there. I don't even hate looking at them, honestly, in the first five on the run line, -0.5 here for +100 odds on DraftKings. So maybe that's a move too. I think the Phillies bounce back today. In terms of the total, I see this going just over 8, maybe like 9 runs. So I'll lean towards the over, but it's nothing that I'm overly excited about. And then in terms of a player prop here, Jose Butto's under 4.5 strikeouts for even odds over on Caesar. Seems like it has some value. Last 30 days, Philly, 4th best team at not striking out against right-handed pitchers on the road, the 5th best team in the last 30 days against righties. So I do think that, this could be a good spot for him. They hit his pitches pretty well, the fastball and the slider being two of his most predominant pitches. The problem is the Phillies do make contact and do have a really good track record against sliders, but you know that they like to swing at pitches. So if that slider's on, it worries me a little bit. But nonetheless, still don't mind looking at his under. The problem is I wish it was 5.5. It's 4.5. So, got me shaking in my boots a little bit, but nonetheless, still a lean in this case. All right, next up, we have the White Sox taking on the Nationals here. Part of a doubleheader today. Trevor Williams on the mound for Washington, Chris Flexen going for the White Sox. Overall, if you haven't been watching all year or haven't watched me in the past, I really don't like betting doubleheaders, but we got this now at a decent price here, which is good to see because yesterday the Washington Nationals were pretty priced out in terms of that. Now, obviously, given the fact that they didn't end up going yesterday, I think that we have a better pricing them at minus 115. And Trevor Williams has had a really good year, 1.96 ERA with a 1.06 whip and a FIP of 2.48. I know that Flexen has had some good games and looked good at times, right? His last, 3 starts have been pretty damn good quality starts. But give me the Nationals in this spot. Total sitting at 8.5 right now. I'm going to lean towards the under. I don't think either one of these teams has the bats to get up to 9 runs. And again, it's a doubleheader. We'll probably even just kind of skip through the game once we get to it later on in the slate because if it's my 2 strategies with betting doubleheaders, it's either I'm betting the underdog twice because it's hard to beat a team twice, right? So hopefully you can make profit that way, or I'm just focusing on that first game and literally forgetting about the second game, which in this case, if we were to roll with it, it's probably just focusing on the first game. But yeah, I guess I'm trusting Trevor Williams in the spot, which I don't know if I like the sound of that, even though he's been on fire this year. All right, next up, this is one I know it just wasn't our night last night because even on shout out to Kyle Kerms, the sauce, we were on his live show yesterday, and I said that I was going to roll with Toronto first 5 money line for plus 145 odds, and then Toronto money line overall. And you know what? We didn't pull the trigger on it, and guess what? Even we talked about it in yesterday's video, and Toronto was the side. They ended up winning 3-2, so that full game would have cashed. But nonetheless, we can't look back. Rear view mirrors are smaller than windshields for a reason, right? Sounds pretty damn good. But we got Baltimore taking on Toronto today. Kyle Bradish on the mound for Baltimore, going up against Chris Bassett for Toronto. Bassett hasn't had the best year, and he doesn't have the best track record here against Toronto. In his career versus these current Orioles, in terms of who's on their roster, 54 plate appearances, 360 average against, a 428 WOBA. Expected WOBA gets better, though, at 301, and same thing with expected batting average. So I do think that there's some progression room for him here, but overall, I do think Baltimore gets to him. And I think Baltimore's a team that I don't mind coming off of a loss. And in a loss in which, again, it was 3-2. They could have won that game yesterday, right? So I think that this could in fact be a spot in which we take a peek at Baltimore. But we'd have to kind of finagle the line here because right now they're minus 166. That's almost priced out in my opinion. But you can get them at minus 150 on the first 5. Maybe we consider that. Or if we wait this out, because I think a lot of people, public, could come in and say, hey, Toronto won yesterday. Maybe we take another flyer on them. Who knows, right? So I do lean Baltimore, both money line and first 5 money line. I also don't mind to some degree. I don't know how he can work it in, but fading Chris Bassett. I want to take his under 17.5 outs, but this has been a spot which Baltimore really has not had that much success against starting right-handed pitchers, They're crushing lefties. Righties have been a little weary there, just like we saw with Berrios yesterday. So maybe we wait this one out, but, for plus 130 odds, I could consider Bassett's under 17.5 outs. He doesn't make it through 6 for plus 130. Considering that right there. In terms of a total, I don't mind the over, but I probably cater it towards the Orioles side of things. Again, I do think that they kind of get to both the bullpen as well as Bassett today. So in terms of their over, you can go over 4 for minus 135 over on Caesars, or 4.5 for plus 105 over on FanDuel. So we might work something like that in today because the Orioles scoring 2 runs yesterday. I just don't see that happening again. When they last scored 2 runs prior to, actually, they've scored 2 runs, I think, 2 games in a row, so take this with a grain of salt. But the last time they scored 2 runs, they then backed it up with 11 against Cincinnati, the time prior to that. So I like them to come back with some offense today. All right, guys, before we continue on with the slate, let me real quick talk to you about Daily Grind Fantasy. You've probably heard me talk about them on the channel before because this tool is absolutely goated. This is the DFS optimizer right here, and what this does is pretty much helps you cash over on Prize Picks, Underdog, Sleeper, all those apps that we know and love for the DFS player prop apps, right? But what this does is it analyzes the Prize Picks lines that are offered and then looks at a bunch of the sports books in the market, some of the most popular, right? And says, well, what are sports books pricing this line at? PrizePicks doesn't care about odds, so they toss out the most juiced plays and put them at the top of the list because obviously if a play is juiced, and what I mean by that is the sports books are giving that the highest negative odds, right, in sort of dumb terms, meaning they think it's the most likely outcome, where you can throw this into PrizePicks and it's just as valuable as any other play because PrizePicks doesn't care about odds. 2 for 2 will pay you 3 times X, Y, and Z, right? So head over. There's going to be a link in the pinned comment, but make sure you use code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON. That's going to get you 25% off. I've been using this tool for 2 years, guys. It's absolutely amazing. For example, Daniel Vogelbach, right? Under 0.5 walks today. Average sportsbooks odds of minus 155. DraftKings, -165. MGM, -160. Like, this is a great play. They also give you a percent odds to hit based on sportsbooks odds, so you can go and throw these in. And what I like about it is you can even build slips. Say you wanted to do, a 5-man prize pick slip. It's going to build you a slip right here, the top 5 on the board based on all of their odds. I highly suggest you guys go try this tool out. Obviously, I've been working with them for, like I said, 2 years. Worth trying checking them out. Like, this is not just blowing smoke up your what. This is an amazing tool. Go check it out. DG Fantasy, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. And again, you need to use code GuyBoston to get that 25% off deal. But I would highly suggest you go try them out today. If you're on PrizePicks and not using this tool, you're missing out. Let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of these games. Tigers taking on the Marlins here. Tigers kind of priced out. I do think this points to them. They're better at hitting lefties. Ryan Weathers on the mound for Miami. They have the better pitcher on the mound themselves, Reese Olson. They have the better bullpen. So -180 makes sense. It is, I think, a fair line for this game. They get the win yesterday, 6-5. Let's see if we can get. If I go first 5, -1.5 or something, or even an alternate run line. What can we get this down to? Alternate run line wouldn't do us much good, right? -1, -139. Meaning if they win by 1, it's a push, but you get lucky if they win by 2. Trying to see if we can work Tigers in, because like I say, they do have for sure the edge here in this spot, but I just don't know if we can get there. First 5 run line -0.5 is only -125, so maybe that's a move, but again, then you're losing some of your edge, right? Like, Detroit's bullpen is good, so I wouldn't mind if we had that kind of in our arsenal for this game. But overall, guys, it's going to be a spot in which we could try and work Detroit in. Like, I really don't hate now looking at that Detroit first 5 -0.5, but overall, I do think that they're kind of priced out and the value necessarily, it is gone. So give me Detroit, but it's going to be a slight lean. In terms of a total here, it's sitting at 8.5, which I know yesterday's game was 5-4. This kind of surprises me, I guess, in a sense, because I don't think that, the Marlins are going to have the success they had yesterday. Maybe the Tigers do. Maybe we can consider the Tigers team total over. And I guess by default, I lean slightly towards the over, but I don't know if the Marlins have the best chance. So I think this is going to be more of a one-sided affair. So give me Detroit's team total over and a slight lean towards the over, but we might try and work in Tigers to some degree if we can find value there. But keep an eye on the pinned comment, like I always tell you guys. But we're definitely not forcing anything today. In fact, comment force if you made it this far into the video, because it'll help me as I read all the comments. Remind me to not force crap, because yesterday was one of our biggest cards and we got slapped in the face. All right, Red Sox taking on the Rays. Interesting one here. We have Savali on the mound, too. If you guys are new to the channel, I really like this pitcher. Though he hasn't really had the, I guess he had a good start, but it was against the White Sox in his last start, right? And it wasn't even all that great. He barely made it into the 5th inning. But prior to that, he was kind of getting mollywopped around, which kind of stinks to see. We have Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Red Sox, who had a really bad start in his last start, but it was against Atlanta, so maybe there's a little bit of credence that, or I guess, you can let him, give him a little bit of a leash there. Overall, I do think both pitchers can get the job done. I think I'm going to focus on the Nerfy, though, so no runs in the first inning or under 0.5 runs in the first inning. Both these pitchers, I think, can do it out here. I think Pivetta, one time through the lineup should be pretty good. Same thing with Savali, who has hit 7 of his last 10 starts, the under, and out of this, on this season, he's hit 75% of his unders. Pivetta, on the other hand, 2 out of his 3 starts this year, so I don't mind it whatsoever. And honestly, he hasn't been the one letting up the runs. Like, I guess Atlanta was the only time he did let up the runs, but it's not like, he's getting shelled out there. It's more or less, even on the Savali side of things, like Tampa Bay is ruining the Nerfy for him. So yeah, I think this could be a decent spot for a Nerfy. Odds-wise right now, -104, your best bet over on FanDuel. Actually, that is a pretty valuable play. -104 on FanDuel, -115 on ESPN, -120 on DraftKings, -126 on Caesar. So you're getting like 20 cents of value over on FanDuel. We might pull trigger on the Nerfy in this Red Sox and Rays game. Overall. And then in terms of where I stand in this game, I think my mind immediately goes to under. Like I said, I'm almost putting a little bit more faith than maybe I should into both of these pitchers. So yeah, give me the under 9 runs here in this spot. Yesterday's game finished Tampa Bay 5-3. I could see something like that similar again, but this is a tough one because I'm a Red Sox fan, but it's almost like I don't believe in some of their success this year, right? And I'm also an Aaron Savale fan, so almost I'm like, who do I think is going to win? But for the price, +100, just like yesterday, I think I lean towards the Rays on the money line just because you're getting that plus money for a pitcher I trust. But again, Aaron Savale, hasn't been all that great as of late. But nonetheless, guys, I think my favorite play in this spot's going to be the Nerfy and then even the under total. And then we can look at raised money line if we really want that many plays on this game. All right, Braves taking on the Cubs. Actually, might as well tell you this before we do get into this game. There is a deal over on Sleeper for Chris Sale today. They have a free square. If you're not signed up for Sleeper, go check it out. You pair Sleeper with using the Daily Grind Fantasy app, and I mean, you might as well just start getting a money tree out back because that thing will work there. But yeah, before we even talk about this game, Chris Sale on the mound for the Braves, there's a free square, should be free, 0.5 strikeouts for him over on Sleeper. If you don't know what Sleeper is, it's a DFS pick'em app. You combine 2 or more player props into a slip. The more you win, the more you get paid out. They have flex plays as well, so you don't have to hit every single leg in your slip. What I love about Sleeper is the fact that each and every play has its own unique multiplier, so you don't just follow the fixed payout structure of all of the other apps out there. You can win up to 100 times over on Sleeper putting the right picks in there, which is obviously hard to do, but mind-blowing to even conceptualize. And one cool thing about them is they'll match your first deposit like every other app, but up to $500. That's psycho. If you want to be a psycho and put in $500, they're going to be even bigger of a psycho and put in $500 of their own. You'll have a new account playable balance of $1,000. But obviously, they'll match anything up to that too if you want to go a little bit cheaper. But go check out Sleeper, guys. Honestly, my favorite DFS player prop app out there right now. They have alternate lines, more selections than any others out there. And just the interface is really, really cool. And today you get that free square and the deposit match. Go check it out, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. And it'll apply the promo code and you get all the deals and free squares, automatically. So go check out that link in the pinned comment of today's video. But let's get back to this game. Again, we already talked about it. Chris Sale on the mound here for the Atlanta Braves, going up against Jameson Taillon, who has had a pretty good year so far in terms of how many starts he's had. I think he's had 4 starts, and he's yet to let up more than 2 earned runs. But that being said, he's gone up against Miami. Okay, dud. Houston, I had to give him a little bit of credit for. Mets and Milwaukee. So he has some good teams in there, but he's facing the Braves today. The caveat being the Braves against righties are somewhat of like a different team compared to the Braves against lefties. In fact, let me show you the dashboard. Guys, if you want to check this out, there'll be a link in the pinned comment. It's completely free right now. I keep saying if you hit the like goal, you guys I'll get this for free. I want to be able to monetize this, but you guys have been super, super good with liking it. So let's go for 500 likes today. You guys hit 550 yesterday. I'm feeling generous today because of how bad the picks were yesterday. 500 likes, and this is free for another day tomorrow. But look at this. Like, yeah, the pitching looks pretty good, right? But Atlanta against right-handed pitchers, like, that's a lot of red. That doesn't look all that great, right? Whereas Chicago against left-handed pitchers, okay, now we're kind of talking. So in my mind, this is a spot where maybe there is a little bit more value than, meets the eye on the Cubs here in this spot. They're plus 165. To me, that may be worth taking a flyer. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but again, that may be worth taking a flyer. They have Bellinger back. They have Suzuki back. Like, this could be a decent spot. My one concern is, again, Chris Sale on the mound, and the dude's been pitching really, really well overall. But Taillon has some good numbers against this Atlanta Braves roster. Psycho alert alarm dropped. We may be looking at the Cubs in this spot. From a total perspective, right? It's sitting at 8 runs. I don't mind the under in this spot. I kind of want to trust both of the pitchers overall. But again, I do think the Cubs bats need to get hot in a sense to be able to beat this Braves team. So that kind of doesn't correlate to the under, but you can't deny the numbers that both these pitchers have. I know we just flashed it up on the screen, but Chris Sale, 2.9 ERA, a whip under 1. Jameson Taillon, 1.13 ERA with a whip under 0.9. So yeah, give me the under, but I think I like the Cubs for the money. The price scares me because they're really, the books are heavy on Atlanta, but hey, we've done crazier things. Maybe I'm a little bit of a psycho here. Could even get crazy and look at a plus money player prop. Jameson Taillon under 5.5 hits allowed. Plus 115 over on DraftKings. Maybe something we consider there as well. Next up, we have Minnesota taking on the Yankees. Minnesota underdogs in this spot, which I do agree that makes sense in terms of, why they are. The Yankees coming off of winning 2 of 3 against Tampa Bay. Days rest here. But Minnesota has won 7 of their last 10 games. They took 2 of 3 against Toronto. And the pitchers on the mound today are nothing that really worry me. And even if we look at the dashboard here, the bats should be fairly equal. I mean, sure, Minnesota's not going to walk. Okay, whatever. But Carlos Rodon Rodon going up against Chris Paddock here. The one thing that I like is Rodon's going to throw 57% fastballs, right? Minnesota crushing fastballs this season. Even the cutters, they're hitting well. The slider, they're hitting well. So I don't think that he's going to throw anything at them that they can't hit. So honestly, I think I lean towards Minnesota, whether it's first 5 or full game for plus money. Give me Minnesota, and that's what I like about baseball. I feel like I have no ground to stand on after yesterday's performance, but guys, if you've been watching all year, we are profitable on this season, and last year we were profitable, you know what I mean? Like, as long as we've been doing this, we are, so there's the ground to stand on, but have some confidence, Ev. But what I like about baseball is the fact that you can take these plus money flyers, and really, like, a percentage that you want to be aiming for in baseball, if you have those plus monies in there, it doesn't need to be that 56, 57%, because, being able to hit on these plus money plays means you don't have to go 56, 58% type of thing, right? But nonetheless, I think this could be a good spot for Minnesota at home. Obviously, Yankees travel, and they honestly, the offenses should match, which that's kind of my concern when betting against the Yankees. Like, do you have an offense that can keep up with them? And Minnesota here, their offense, last, I want to say 6 games. Yeah, 6 games. 6 runs, 11 runs. Low scoring game, 3 runs against Toronto, then 8 runs, 5 runs. Like, that looks like the Yankees sort of line up there. So yeah, give me Minnesota on the money line. I guess I would lean towards the over too, just because of what I'm saying. Like, I think that the Yankees have a good offense. I think Minnesota matches the offense, and by no means am I trying to gas up Chris Paddock. I haven't mentioned once that's the reason Minnesota will win today. So yeah, give me the over in this spot as well. Man, this Brewers spot killed us yesterday. It didn't kill us. We had a half unit on just like the rest of our plays. But, we had them first 5 and full game. Nothing comes out on top there. Joe Ross on the mound for the Brewers today, going up against Quinn Priester. Neither one of these guys have looked all that much like a stud. But what I will say, even with yesterday in mind, this Milwaukee team against righties still should have a little bit of an edge. So I lean towards Milwaukee on the money line, even though they burned us yesterday. In terms of a total here, I think I'm going to lean towards a Milwaukee. Actually, I'll just lean towards the over overall. Like, this is kind of not really based on the fact that I think the bats of, the Pirates are going to come alive, but they did come alive yesterday. They've now scored in their last 3 games, 10 runs, 4 runs, 8 runs. Okay, that's crazy. And Joe Ross on the mound doesn't really scream like stud to me, you know what I mean? Last time he pitched against them, he had a good outing, so I almost think he's due to not have a good outing now, so I guess I'll lean towards the over, but I do think Milwaukee comes a little bit more to play today earlier on in the game. All right, Texas taking on Cleveland. Cleveland on the Sausage Live show yesterday, I did lean Texas. We didn't make it a final play. I think I even leaned Texas in yesterday's video, right? They lose 7-0. And that means the Guardians have now won 2 games in a row, 7-0. So good on them. They have definitely the better pitcher today. Ben Lively going up against Jack Leiter, Jack Leiter, you know what the batters say when they see him? Light her up. It's tough. 12.91 ERA on the season compared to Ben Lively's 2.63. So obviously that's kind of unfortunate, I guess, see for him. But you know what? Overall, I do think that this is a spot in which Texas's bats probably fare a little better, but I don't think I could bet on them. So I'll lean towards the Guardians, but I think my main lean in this one, and telling you guys now, I don't think I'm touching this because the Texas bats have been so inconsistent. I think I lean towards the over, though, just because, again, Leiter could get lit up. Ben Lively out here, I guess I want to give him credit, but I also don't know if I fully believe in him. So I'll lean towards the over, but I don't think that makes its way into being pinned comment final play. Houston taking on Oakland. Blanco on the mound going up against JP Sears. Oakland's offense, I even talked about it yesterday. I was like, I kind of believe in it. They lose big yesterday, right? 9-2. But you're not going to find me laying, minus 198 juice on Houston. And even their run line kind of skeeves me out. They're almost minus 200 favorites, but their run line is plus 104. So it's like, why are they plus money on the run line if their, money line is that crazy? They've also cashed that run line in 3 of their last 4. So I guess that's the way I lean Houston run line, but something's a little sketchy about that, honestly. I also like the over in this spot. I think if Oakland can do anything offensively, I think Houston still has a decent day against JP Sears here in this spot. And JP Sears hasn't had the most success against Houston, so I think that they should be able to get to him. So I'll lean towards the over as well as Houston, but again, that run line sketches me out a little bit. Next up, we have the Angels taking on the Cardinals. This is a little bit of a weird one for me because even looking at the dashboard, you can see Sonny Gray on the mound has pretty much a damn big edge over Reed Dietmers, right? The problem being that St. Louis's offense is god-awful against lefties, whether they're at home or on the road or anything. So maybe this is a spot where we can pivot and potentially look at the Angels. My concern is I don't really like backing them even first five or full game. So I think the way that we could potentially back the Angels, and it sounds crazy because I don't even know if I think he's only done this a couple times this season. Yeah, 3 of his 8 starts he's done this. But Reed Dietmers over 17.5 outs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight left-handed pitchers against against this Cardinals team have gone and hit that line, had at least 6 innings pitched. So maybe for this price at -115, it could be a spot for Reed Dietmers over 17.5 outs. But I guess to some degree you'd think you'd want plus money because he hasn't done it in 3 starts. He's only done it once in his last 5 and 3 of his 8 starts on the year. But I guess if there's any offense to do it against, it's probably going to be this St. Louis one. So, yeah, main play in this one, I guess, is going to be, as weird as it is, and it's not a pitcher I usually back, Reed Dietmers over 17.5 outs, and I guess I would lean somehow their first 5 in terms of the total under. Like, I don't like the money line or the total, honestly. I think Dietmers may be the only way we play this game. And what I mean by that is, it's a way to back the Angels without having to back the Angels. Like, this could be 1-1 after 6 innings, you know what I mean? All right, we got the Snakes taking on the Reds. I'm not going to lie, this is probably one that we don't have too much interest in. Slade Cecchioni on the mound. We'll just call him Slade because it's an awesome first name. Going up against Hunter Green. I do think that there's some sort of, even tie between those pitchers in terms of who has the edge. I guess you'd have to give it to Hunter Green in this spot, but Arizona bats fastballs really well, which Hunter Green throws a lot of. Cincinnati doesn't necessarily, so there's where it kind of evens up, right? I think Arizona's offense is slightly better than Cincinnati, so maybe we lean towards Arizona. In terms of a total, I guess I'd lean towards a slight over as well. We saw 6-5 yesterday, but again, it's not my favorite spot here overall. If anything, Arizona money line would be where we go. I have Padres taking on Colorado. Padres we had their over 4.5 runs yesterday, team total. They finished with 4 runs, and Colorado beats them with 5 runs. So even that screwed our parlay overall. But nonetheless, they're priced out at this point, -290. Don't really even like them on the run line, but I do think they bounce back big today. You have Cal Quantrill on the mound for Colorado going up against Dylan Cease, who, if you guys don't know, another one of these pitchers that has definitely made us some money, and I do really like backing him. And he's kind of turned things around. He had that bad start against Philly, but lo and behold, Philly's offense has come along, right? He already pitched against Colorado this season. He went 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, 1 earned run. And this guy is coming off of a 12 strikeout game against Chicago. So yeah, I lean, San Diego in some sort of maybe a money line parlay or something. But one risky play, and again, I don't know how much ground we have to stand on to be risky this morning, right? Dylan Cease over 8.5 strikeouts. Can he fan 9? The only start he's done in is this past week, his last start, against the Cubs, which is 6 days ago. But prior to that, he was 7, 7, 7, 8. Like, he's been right there. Now he's going up against a Rockies team who, against right-handers, second highest strikeout rate, 26.5. Like, this could be a spot in which I don't hate taking the risk there. My one concern is it's a line that he's only hit once this season, and it's not plus money. So we'll see. We might not have the stones to be able to do that because, again, it's not like I'm riding high after yesterday feeling like we're seeing the board ultra clear, right? But, again, Dylan Cease over 8.5. I guess that's worth considering is how I should say it. I don't know if we're going to get there today, but if you're feeling risky, but it's kind of a calculated risk, I think that could be a move. I wish the odds were a little bit better. In terms of a total here in this spot, it's down at 7, which tells me that I think that, Cease is going to be able to dominate in a sense. So I think one way that I would play this is a potential look at the Colorado, either first 5 or team total under 2.5 right now you can get for their first 5. So, they'd have to score 3 runs through the first 5. I don't think they do that against Cease that's their team total overall, which I don't mind because I don't think that they put up more than, 2 against Cease. And then this Padres bullpen has to kind of come in and be rock solid. Hopefully they can. But I also don't mind their first 5 under 1.5. I think that they put up max 2 against Cease, more likely 1, which would cash this. So another way we could play that total, but I guess I lean towards the under overall. But I think this Padres team, or at least they should, bounce back today. All right, I think we learned our lesson yesterday taking this Kansas City team against the Mariners. We took them in the first 5. They ended up losing the game 6-2. It wasn't really close. Kirby pitched a decent game as well. We had his under 5.5 strikeouts. He finished with 6. So, we're obviously, just struggling a little bit here to see some of the clear writing on the wall. But it stinks because I get in my own head about it because it's like, hey, well, we were on a nice little MLB heater, and then all of a sudden it's like one bad night, and I'm like, we don't see the board clear, so I got to wipe that from my memory, Men in Black style. But overall, I do think Seattle has the better chance to win this game today, but don't we agree that price is a little too high? Minus 155 for them. Michael Wacha on the mound for the Royals. It's not like he's terrible. I don't like him, but Logan Gilbert on the mound. I do think Seattle has the edge. I think they have the batting edge as well. So I guess I lean towards Seattle, but they might be priced out at this point. And what I mean by priced out, I've said that a couple times in this video. Minus 155 seems like it's way too much risk to throw out there for, you'd have to bet $155 to even win back 100. Just doesn't seem like it's all that worth it overall. Total sitting at 7. I could see this one slightly going over. Yesterday we saw a 6-2 game. I don't necessarily think Kansas City, is that dormant, but maybe they are. Like, their offense has been such hit or miss lately, no pun intended. So I'm going to lean towards the over, but I don't necessarily love that spot either. I think it's Seattle money line or nothing for me in this spot. All right, Dodgers taking on San Francisco. Like most games we have on the slate, usually the Dodgers are kind of very, very heavy favorites, but it's not that crazy. Minus 160 for this Dodgers offense. I do like the look of, but Gavin Stone's on the mound. He hasn't been the most trustworthy pitcher, but he's going up against Keaton Winn. I tell you guys, Keaton Winn should legally change his name to Keaton Loss, right? So give me the Dodgers here on the money line. Maybe we run back Dodgers, Padres, money line parlay. If we toss that in really quickly here, what can we get for best odds? Plus 120 on FanDuel, that may be something we consider today. It's going to come down to Gavin Stone, though, and if we have the stones to roll with that overall. But looks like Ohtani's back in the lineup. They should have everybody, and this is a team that hits righties really well, and Keaton Winn is no gem of a pitcher overall. So, yeah, I like this spot. Last time he pitched against him, 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 6 Ks. Like, if he goes out and does that again, I like our chances for the Dodgers to win. The Dodgers won 8-3 in that game. So, guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and comment 32. I think yesterday's video was 32 minutes long as well, or at least that was when we called for the comment number. But nonetheless, guys, appreciate everyone tuning in, especially after a bad day yesterday. But we're going to have those, right? Like, that's why I can do it. I know the guppies say, why are you smiling after a bad day? It's like, because we have had so much success on the season already, one bad day is not going to tear down what we're trying to build and what we have built. So I can get over. If you guys are betting more than you can lose, or that kills you for the rest of the year, then that's something you got to reconsider in your bet amounts and how much you're throwing on them. So it's all about managing the bankroll, and we've done just that. Even after a bad day, we can withstand that. So hopefully it doesn't happen again, but appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.